This is going to be a quick discussion of how to use the attenuator block in each of the tests. Up here in the upper left is what is called the attenuator block. And each of the tests has such an attenuator block to let you determine how the test does attenuate in the QA40x analyzers. Each of them has the ability to lower the incoming voltage enough to avoid an overload at the expense of a higher noise level. So let's go ahead and run the spectrum analysis with a 1/10 of a volt signal, which is going to come in at 2/10 of a volt because I have a balanced input and output device. Okay, and I'm going to make this a little bit less noisy looking so we see it better. All right, so obviously I can, at a minimum, just change the attenuation manually. And as I do this, the program is smart enough to know that it's 2/10 of a volt no matter what the attenuator is set to, but it will raise the noise level. So at 42 dB, we can receive like a 40 volt signal, but at the expense of a lot more noise. This still, of course, reads the right values. So how do we do this? Well, normally the recommendation is select auto range, and that way, if we want like a big voltage, we can click run. And what it will do is it will set this to 42, figure out the gain, and then pick the lowest possible attenuation for the signal. So the 4 volt signal is comfortable with an 18 dB attenuation at the cost of slightly more noise. Now, if you want to run, let's go back to a 1/10 of a volt. I'm sorry. Let's go to 0 dB and turn off auto ranging here and run at a 1/10 of a volt. All right, and here we are. And what you'll find is that if I set this now to like a volt, it's going to overload. And in the background, there's this relay click going on as it overloads, and of course it looks like garbage. And I can put it back to a 1/10 of a volt, it'll start working. Don't do this to your equipment at home. Okay. But otherwise, it works just fine. All right, so we recommend what you should do is start auto-ranged, and then it doesn't matter what your input and output voltages are, it will find enough attenuation to not overload, if that's possible, and then it will run at that value just comfortably. And here we are, 4 volts at 18 dB is very comfortable. Once you've been running for a while, if you want, you could turn off the auto range and just leave it, and it'll run just fine repeatedly. Just don't change your volume. Sometimes if I don't care what the noise is, I'll just leave it manually at 42, and then I don't have any overload possibility no matter what I'm running at. But of course my results, let's take a look at 42 dB. What is my noise level going to look like? My noise floor at 42 dB is, let's start it running, 130 microvolts. Okay. Let's go back to a 1/10 here. At 0 dB, my noise floor is 2.4 microvolts. So obviously you'd rather have a smaller attenuator, but you can't always. And that's the purpose of auto ranging versus picking it yourself. And note that down here, it will always show you your current attenuation, and up here. And that's a quick summary of the attenuator.